Hello and welcome to this IQPC podcast presented by Pharma IQ in conjunction with the Amorphous Pharmaceutical Materials Conference 2011. I'm your host today, Helen Windsor, and I'm joined by Marc Descamps. Marc is Professor in Solid-State Physics at the University of Lille and also lead of the European ID Network for Improved Drug Efficacy and Availability. Marc, now, firstly, using amorphous pharmaceutical materials is considered to be an effective way of improving necessary drug properties. What are the important factors to consider when formulating an amorphous substance and why?
Mainly, amorphous state is an interesting formulation opportunity for poorly soluble drugs. That means when solubility is very limited in the crystalline state. So if you formulate in the amorphous solid state, which means glassy state, the solubility can be much higher. The problem, the drawback, is that glasses are intrinsically not stable state. They are prone to age, to recrystallize, and that cannot be avoided. So the nature of the glassy pharmaceuticals depends on sample history of the rate of quenching, of drying, of shearing, as it is the case when you prepare amorphous compounds by spray drying, by extrusion, etc. So the issue is to manipulate the glassy state, to make it as stable as possible, physically but also chemically, while keeping solubility as high as possible. So it is necessary most often to formulate API with excipients to increase the TG, for example. The problem of solubility of API in polymer is a fundamental question. So the factors which must be considered as those which have an impact on this stability. The main factor to consider is molecular mobility, because the structure does not change as a glass transition. It is not really a structure problem, but a mobility problem. Glasses are classified according to these mobility properties, and mobility both above and below the glass transitions. And the position of the glass transition temperature is a direct signature of the mobility. Consequently, the thermodynamics are very important also to consider, because very recent fundamental researches have shown that there are possible connection between thermodynamic and stability limit and the evolution of the mobility. It is thus necessary to use several complementary techniques to probe relaxation, to probe spectroscopy, calorimetry, and also structure, of course, to check the degree of homogeneity, for example, or to catch nucleation. It is also very important to predict the value of TG. It is what I can say at the moment on this problem of important factors to consider.
Now, you have collaborated on projects with several large pharmaceutical companies in the past. Do you consider industry and academic collaborations are becoming more commonplace? And does this represent a new trend in pharmaceutical R&D?
My experience in this domain is very, very positive. We could have very fruitful collaboration with pharmaceutical companies, not simply for making measurements, but to capture even the fundamental aspects of the problem. And there are more and more fundamental researchers in companies with which we can discuss at a very high level. There is a very rapid evolution, I feel, in this domain. I believe that ways of thinking are evolving fast on both sides, industry and academic, which become closer together. Probably in this time of crisis, developing such collaboration is a win-win process. Yeah, it's my perception.
And now, your research interests focus on phase transitions in molecular materials, disordered crystals, molecular glasses, and using physiochemical techniques to study the structural and dynamic properties of pharmaceutical solids. Now, Marc, what impact is your research having or going to have on developments in new therapeutics?
Yes. For example, I can cite a few. For example, our research allow to identify the factors which control the propensity to amorphize upon milling and dehydration, for example. Allow to predict the the value of the glass transition temperature, which is an important factor to predict the stability of the amorphous compound. Also, in terms of prediction of the phase diagram of polymer excipient mixtures, to localize, say, the favorable zones in concentration and temperature, and this needs to associate experiments and modelization. And we could provide some recipes in this domain. Another example, for example, is the mechanism of protections, of bioprotections of labile molecule by sugars. It allowed to better choose the bioprotectants and the way to use it. Other questions, for example, are related to the prediction of nucleation and growth conditions for the crystallization problem. It's some aspects we have studied and which can have impact on which we studied recently. Yeah?
Now, Marc, at the conference in September, you'll be delivering a presentation exploring the aspects of molecular materials transformed via milling and drying operations to induce phase and glass transitions of pharmaceuticals. What do you expect will be the key takeaway points from your talk?
What I hope is that some participants will have a better view of the different type of impacts that these operations, milling, drying, etc., can have on the nature of the physical nature of the end product and also on the chemical nature. They will have maybe a better view of how to fix the parameters of the process they use during formulation. For example, how to choose and to modify the temperature of grinding, the intensity of grinding, in case of milling, also to control the rate of dehydration, for example, in process where dehydration, which is so frequent in formulation. I hope this could help them to realize how the conditions of formulations may have an impact on the nature of the glassy state and the stability, both physically and chemically. Okay, if this is possible, it would be a good result for me. Okay.
And finally, Marc, to round off, at the event in September, what do you think will be the most valuable discussion points looking at the agenda, and what do you hope to gain from being there?
From my point of view, a lot is to be learned by, say, fundamentalists, because people in industry are very imaginative, and it's very important for me, for example, to know the new formulation processes that people in industry can imagine. Another question is. What could be important for me is to discuss the feasibility at the industrial level of the solutions that I could propose, that academics could imagine. And this leads to the important problem to capture the question of the incidence of scale-up. I think that is very, very important. What is the impact of scale-up and modifications on the formulation? For example, another question on which I am personally, which seems to me very important, is the question generally to discuss the question of disordered pharmaceutical materials, considering and identifying the different level of disorder. I think it is the biggest issue at the moment, I believe. So important to see the impact of this different level of disorder. I mean, intrinsic disorder, for example, when you have a glassy compounds, a TG, etc., but also disorder at a more mesoscopic level, the influence of microstructure on the delivery, for example, etc. It is my view, and I am quite certain that I will learn a lot on this aspect.
Sure. Well, we hope it provides a useful forum for you, and indeed we do look forward to hearing more from you on the topic in your presentation. Thanks very much, Marc, for your time today.
Thank you.
Now, just for the benefit of our audience, If you would like to attend the Amorphous Pharmaceutical Materials Conference this year, it will take place from the 27th to the 28th of September in Amsterdam. For further information about the agenda and the speakers that we've got lined up in addition to Marc, you can visit the website www.pharmaamorphous.com. Alternatively, please direct any inquiries to our team on enquire@iqpc.co.uk or call +44 207 368 9373 for information. Thanks very much for listening, and we hope to see you at the event.